Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, that was a bit of an moment, and I think we're going to continue on that spirit now. And of course, very much in the spirit of Mandela Month, our certified parent coach and good friend, Laura Markovits now connects with us to discuss how we as parents can encourage our kids to do good and be kind and compassionate individuals ahead of Mandela Day on Sunday. Laura, always so cool to have you in our company, even if it is remotely. How are you doing this morning?
Good, thanks, Graham. Always good to be here, remotely or any otherwise.
Laura, I don't know if you saw that gorgeous cartoon that we just played out, but a real kind of moment there. And it's amazing how children instinctively can be kind and compassionate, but on the flip side of that coin, they can also be quite grown up in how mean they can be. But we want to ultimately foster that sense of compassion in our children. Where do we start? Does it start with our actions? What jumping off point do we look at?
I think the starting point is making kindness and compassion a priority in our families. So not just paying lip service to those sort of concepts as, yes, we're kind, we're compassionate, but really valuing them and prioritizing them so that, you know, even if you're asking kids, well, is kindness really valued in your family? They're going, yeah, completely, rather than going, I'm not so sure. Actually, it feels more important that I get good grades at school rather than being kind and compassionate. So first of all, making it a priority. And then secondly, very much as a family, being kind to our kids, being thoughtful, being compassionate towards them, and actually treating our children with kindness so that they learn this is how we are. And then thirdly, so importantly, which we often forget, is very much also teaching our kids to be kind and have self-compassion as well, so that they learn to be kind to themselves, so that they are able to be kind to others. And we often forget that part as well. So that's something so importantly that we need to be teaching our kids as well, is compassion for others, but starting with self-compassion for ourselves so that they are able to give to other people as well.
This sounds like another one of those wonderful and terrible moments where we get to hold up a mirror to ourselves and how we act out and how we treat ourselves. And of course, being able to be kind to others and be kind to yourself, it's not just a nice to have, it's actually an essential skill that we need when we're grown up to get other people to move along with us, but also for our own survival. You need to have compassion in your life as an adult.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a skill that we need. You know, it's not something that we kind of, it's a lovely, nice, soft kind of thing to have. It's something that is so important for us in terms of how we do at work, how we socialize in terms of our whole lives, how we are as people to be out there. And being kind and compassionate is actually good for us. It is good for our well-being to be kind and compassionate to others. And absolutely, you know, Graham, as you say, it does start with us. You know, we're always saying it's us and putting the mirror up to ourselves. So we've got to be role modeling it. It's how we are being to other people, what we do with our time and with our resources. And our kids are seeing that all the time. So absolutely, we're always talking about them being sponges and seeing how we are their respected adults in their world. So they turn to us for what kind of values we should be instilling in them. So we need to be doing the things that we want to see in our own kids.
So let's take it a step further. Our kids are a little bit older, they're modeling our behavior and they're well on their way, but we want them to have a deeper understanding of it. So how do we, what conversation do we have? How do we approach that when we are talking about this and making sure that they take on board the lessons learned? And maybe are there activities that we can do together to further foster this idea of compassion? Like, for instance, letting them get on board a particular project during Mandela Month.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it can start, and, you know, Mandela Month, absolutely, it's a starting point, but also to be remembering to bring this out during the year with things that we are doing as well as Mandela Month, you know. So it's things like small things, getting them involved in projects is a brilliant idea, or even when they have birthdays, instilling in them that they give something during their birthday towards something that is meaningful and important to them, and helping them be part of what they think is meaningful. Or, if they're into sport, letting it be something around sport. If it's into play or kids or learning, let them think about what they want to be involved in. And then very importantly, that kind of conversation that we're having with them is around that experience of being kind and compassionate, which is sometimes more complicated than we give credit for. So, talking to our kids about, well, maybe it means giving up some of your time, or it means giving up some of your things, your toys, or or some of the money that you might have got, or whatever it is. So talking to them about that complicated relationship, so that we can actually go, yeah, there is sometimes something that goes into it that's difficult, and being okay about talking about those things, so that conversation and the experience of being kind and compassionate is being brought out. And we're talking to them about that all the time. I'm always saying, look around you. What's around you? Talk about music, media, images that they are seeing what people are doing, and talking about that stuff. Wow, that was an incredibly unkind thing that I saw, or calling them out when they themselves are doing something unkind. Do you think you could have done that in a kinder way? Wow, that was a really rude thing you said. Do you think you could have said that in a better way? So calling that out, looking around, all of that stuff is around us all the time. And then pointing out the positive things as well that we're seeing around us as well. So that becomes the things that we're talking about at home. And we're talking about kindness. We're talking about compassion all the time.
And possibly today, right now, not just here in South Africa, but across the globe, we need to be focusing on kindness and compassion more than we ever have before. We've got more coming up with Laura in just a moment. We are talking about fostering kindness and compassion within our children. Stick around. It's my feel-good breakfast show. Welcome back. Thanks so much for keeping it locked on this beautiful Wednesday morning. So a little bit earlier, we connected with certified parent coach Laura Markovitz to chat about how parents can encourage their kids to do good and be kind and compassionate individuals. Obviously, this becomes ever more important ahead of Mandela Day this coming Sunday. So we're continuing the conversation right now with Laura, and we're going to look at the flip side, maybe the negative side of this conversation. What can parents do when our children do not seem to be kind and compassionate, and we're starting to see those pervasive patterns coming into the way that they are and in their kind of the way they exhibit in their personality?
And that's so hard for us, particularly, we started off this conversation by going, make kindness and compassion a priority in your home. So particularly where you do value this, and suddenly you're saying, hang on, my kid's being incredibly mean, or they don't seem to care about others, or they're not interested in expanding their circle of concern besides themselves. So that can be very hard as parents to be witnessing that. And my biggest advice around that is to go in curiously, rather than go in with kind of
judgment,
punishments or judgment or shaming them, because that really adds to whatever's going on. Whenever we talk about things, I always go, children's behavior stems from somewhere. There's always something that's precipitating that behavior going on for them. So going curiously, try and find out what is happening there, what is happening for them, and how you can support them. So help them understand what those destructive or difficult feelings and behaviors mean for them. So feelings like envy or jealousy or selfishness or whatever, or anger, whatever they're feeling, how they can learn to manage those feelings so that they can look beyond themselves. And very much, it is so important for kids to know that we do believe in them. So as soon as we take away that belief in them, that really fuels that negative dynamic. And as you were saying, Graham, that pattern gets set up. What we focus on tends to grow. So if I'm going to continuously focus on my child going, oh, you're such a horrible little boy, you're so unkind, you're such a nasty, you're such a mean girl. If I'm saying that stuff all the time, well, that's what gets instilled in our kids, and that's what they tend to believe. exactly that they are. So very much to not just be focusing on that unkind behavior.
Look, and take nothing away from it, can be difficult, you know, that moment. I think every parent has that moment where they consider whether their child is a psychopath or not when they bring you the fish out of the fishbowl to show you. I suppose a great opportunity to help them develop another very important coping mechanism, survival skill, and that's self-regulation. And these are those opportunities that we have to embrace, as you say, don't shy away from it. So how do you instill the notion of sharing and having less to give to others? And I speak specifically because my 4-year-old is at that age, obviously, where it's very difficult for him to share. He's now got a 1-year-old little sister that is constantly wanting what he has. How do you encourage or instill that idea of sharing and get them to understand the ratio of what I have and what another person has?
Yeah, and it's, you know, that stuff is never easy, as you say, but it's helping them through it. It's understanding that that concept is hard. You know, if we started and if we say to, you know, your 4-year-old son, she's, well, you know, we value kindness, but just look at him, he's not sharing. I mean, that's so rationally incredibly wrong. But if you start from the position of actually it is quite hard as a concept to realize I've got to share, and you can support him empathically to learn. So we start with all that empathy that we're always talking about, which is it's very hard to share your toys. It's very hard to wait your turn. It's very hard when your sister is always grabbing your toys and wanting what you have. So we start from that point of view, and then we can support our kids and we can help them problem solve with how to deal with that stuff. So I could be going, well, it's very hard to share. Don't give her anything because that's very hard. Or I could be saying, you know, it's very hard to share, but suck it up and give her everything that she wants. Somewhere in between that is rather about helping kids to understand that it's difficult, but then how do we wait? So that self-regulation that you're talking about is so important. Going, okay, very hard to wait your turn, or it's very hard to give your toy, but you're going to wait. You're going to get a turn, and then it's going to be your sister's turn. And supporting him when he has an absolute wobbly or tantrum that he's had the toy taken away, that you're going, I know you can support him, it's going to come back. So that whole experience of learning these difficult concepts is really important. If we can do them with support and not guilt and shaming, then we can help instill in our kids that these are valuable and reasonable and fair concepts in their lives that they can learn very easily. Well, not always very easily, but that they can learn along the way. Yeah.
And of course, that kindness will come back to them. And before you judge your child, just remember how you feel at the beginning of every month when you have to give away a portion of your salary to the tax man. It's never difficult or never easy sharing, but there are some great rewards that come at the end of that. Laura, as always, an absolutely wonderful chat. We love you so much. I'm so glad that I could have a nice self-indulgent chat with you this morning. We really appreciate it. Have an amazing day.
Thanks, you too. Lovely to see you. Bye.
I think now more than ever, we need to foster this idea of compassion and love, not just in our children, but within ourselves as well.